are your own worst critic. You might think you just have a mindset problem, but what if it's actually a nervous system response seeking safety? My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed life strategist. And on this episode of Unlock Your Blocks, I'm going to break down for you why your brain uses harsh self talk to protect you and how to retrain it using compassion instead of force. Let's first talk about, where does harsh self-criticism come from? That negative self-talk, that second guessing, the little voice over your shoulder that constantly tells you you're doing it wrong, you're not working hard enough, you're being lazy. Am I right? You may have evidence in your life that that serves you. If you have tried to knock off the negative self-talk, just think more positively, and it hasn't worked, there is a strong chance that somewhere in your upbringing, you learned that that was going to get you more of your needs met. Here's what I mean by that. Your brain and your nervous system don't choose coping mechanisms unless there's evidence that they either work or have potential to work to get more needs met or to help you be safer. So negative self-talk serves the purpose of keeping you humble, and I'm using air quotes for that, keeping you humble, keeping you so that you're not too big for your britches, making it so that other people are less likely to criticize you. And maybe you have evidence that says adults in your childhood were criticizing you for being less than perfect, or for not doing things a certain way, or for being too loud, or for running late all the time. Whatever it was, you had voices telling you that you were the problem. And because the human brain is very egocentric the first 10 years of our lives, it has to believe that you're the problem in that scenario. So if it believes that you're the problem, and the survival system uses shaming techniques to implement change in how you behave, you are going to grow up with this belief that you're the problem. You need to work harder, be better, and do more. Otherwise, you're not going to have your needs met. That is compounded when you have adults telling you the same thing. They are corroborating those lies that you have to be something different in order to be enough. You might also have evidence in your life where somebody else wasn't criticizing you, but they were either maybe criticizing themselves or they were criticizing other people out there. And you got the very distinct message as a kiddo watching this happen, who can't protect yourself. You can't change houses, change families. You can't not be around these people that are potentially going to judge based on perfection or mistakes. You have to just assume as that child that this is also going to apply to you. Therefore, you should doubt yourself. You should second guess. You should always assume that there's something more you should be doing, because that's what the nervous system does. It assumes that the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response are all necessary, and it has to gauge which ones are the safest. The fawn response is the least known of those four, and it means to please your way to safety. It means to sort of assess the room, find out who doesn't like you, and do whatever it takes to make them like you. So we have these messages that are given to us when we're younger. And one of the things that can happen from that is that we just get so used to second guessing ourselves, and maybe there was real criticism around us. We start to believe that we have to brace all the time for the other shoe to drop. So we're our own harshest critic, so that we're not then surprised or blindsided by other people criticizing, and it's easier to handle. So if you have negative self-talk going on as a kid, there is a certain amount of perceived control. If I just believe that I'm the worst person in this room at all times, then I'm not in danger of thinking I'm safe and not being safe. If you ever had the experience, this happened to me when I was younger sometimes, where it's oh, I would think I was doing what I was supposed to do, and then I would find out that, it was actually very different. So that could apply to, just following rules. I moved schools when I was little, and I thought my handwriting was, tilted the right direction. And they said, oh no, you have to tilt it this other way. And I got in trouble for it. But I thought I was doing everything right. And then I got blindsided. And for my little, second grade heart, that was a little too much for me. And so that's something that I still remember, the day that I came home and I was crying because I got in trouble for my handwriting facing the wrong way. I have all kinds of beef with other things that were probably going on in that situation as well. But it's just a great example of how our little brains are designed to try and keep us from getting blindsided by other people's criticism and getting in trouble. So any amount of evidence you had from childhood that said it would serve you well to doubt yourself more than anyone else doubts you, that's going to set you up for some problems as an adult, okay? It means that you're constantly second guessing stuff. So what does that mean? How does that actually affect us in a concrete way? So, number one, when you start a new project, which you might have several of that never got finished, and that does not mean that you're a terrible person or you're lazy or you're too scattered or that your ADHD is too much for you. No, it just means you probably have a little negative inner critic that is sitting there on your shoulder, feeding you lines that says, you shouldn't finish this, you're going to fail. You should never have attempted this. This is too much. You're not, it's going to be too much work. You're going to burn out. That little second guessing cycle eats away at us. And it means that whenever you're facing something unknown as an adult, it's an unknown quantity. You don't understand, you don't have full experience in that new way of doing things or the new project or whatever it is. Your system is going to fundamentally be opposed to it. Your nervous system is going to kick up that negative self-talk to try to keep you safe. The inner critic also will always keep you playing small. So if you've ever had the experience of like, oh, I don't want to color outside of the lines on this, even though I think I would be more comfortable if I did the things a different way, but you want to follow the rules so badly and you stick to those rules come hell or high water. That means your inner critic is trying to keep you playing safe instead of playing authentically. So you're going to avoid things like asking for a raise, putting yourself up for a promotion, starting that side hustle that you've been thinking about for a while that's just a quote hobby right now. Whatever it is, making your first online product, doing a launch, whatever you're stopping yourself from, because you keep hearing this second guessing voice, that is where you're being your own worst critic is going to stop you and keep you from actually attaining your authenticity, your integrity as a person. You're not going to be able to reach your goals. You're going to pass over your own self. Like you're going to pass over yourself for promotions and raises because you won't feel comfortable asking for anything when you believe that you deserve all of the criticism that you're throwing at yourself. So it leaves you anxious, it leaves you exhausted, it leaves you overworking, overscheduling yourself, overgiving. You've got perfectionism, you've got people pleasing, you've got all those things working to try and keep you safe, including undershowing your talent. So this is problematic if you want to start a business. You got to be able to sell the heck out of what you're doing for your business and be your own biggest cheerleader. It will, if you're undershowing your talent, you're not even if you do put yourself up for that promotion, but you get to the interview and they ask you, why should we choose you? And you're like, I don't know, there's probably other people that are better. So then you're not going to get the promotion. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have self-confidence to attain new levels of success, to attain new levels of happiness, joy, abundance, all the things that you completely deserve just because you're alive and you're a human. So what can we do about this? I mean, we're just going to let this stop us. We're just going to let this little inner critic, this little dictator inside our minds and bodies, like run the show. Well, we're not going to kick her out because she's actually serving a purpose. One huge way that we stop being our own worst critic is we actually recognize that as a part of the survival system. So, if you've ever heard of internal family systems work, this is akin to that, where you look at your inner critic as your little protector. She's a protector part that pops out when she doesn't think you got it. You got this, you don't got it. She's saying, nope, you don't. And we got to figure something else out. Don't worry. I will criticize you so that you will never do anything scary again. That is her plan. It's not fun. But if you can start to understand her role and start to integrate her into your life and start to have a conversation, a dialogue with this part that's trying to protect you, you're going to be in good shape. So here's the first step. Number one, you got to recognize when it's happening. You have to understand in the moment that negative self-talk is not you. It's actually a part of your survival system trying to keep you safe. So one of the things that I find really helpful for this, and something that I always have my clients do, is when you feel your inner critic going, usually she's using shame, like her weapons are shame and criticism and all kinds of stuff that don't feel good in your body. So if you can track it down in your body where you feel it when you are being criticized by this little inner voice, that can be instrumental in helping you release that voice and not allow it to land. So if you notice, oh gosh, like I feel tight in my chest or my throat constricts or my stomach has a knot in it when I'm feeling self-critical, or maybe you feel nauseous, whatever it is, then you can identify, oh, this is that moment where that protector part is stepping in. Okay, so that's the key. You got to recognize her. You got to recognize when it's happening. Notice where it is in your body. The next piece, and this is counterintuitive because what most of us have been taught is to sort of white knuckle it through this healing process to get rid of this inner critic. And it's not very effective. We can't talk our nervous system into feeling safe. If you've ever tried that, you know it doesn't work. You can't just be like, okay, inner critic, stop doing that. And then she'll be like, oh, no problem. No, this is a very sort of primal instinct inside the body. And you have to understand that it's not going to respond to just trying to talk it out of what it's doing. So then if you respond with curiosity, if you do a little investigative work, if you can ask, instead of just shutting it down or trying to talk her out of it, if you can ask a question, what are you protecting me from? What is this criticism, this inner criticism protecting me from? And maybe see if you can work with that answer to start integrating a plan for taking care of yourself and making sure you're safe no matter what. This is what our nervous system responds to, creating a lifestyle of safety and regular nervous system regulation activities with breath, with body work, with, working with someone like me or a therapist who can help you. I'm not a therapist, but I work with people as a coach in nervous system regulation and in inner child work and internal family systems. And you can actually identify the pieces that are at work when your body's feeling unsafe and start to work with them instead of against them. Instead of just being like, I'm not going to feel this, I'm not going to feel this. You actually can say, okay, my body's not feeling safe with this particular activity. And so, how am I going to help my body feel safe in this moment? So, there's the immediate nervous system regulation where you can use my 3S framework to do safety, self care, and support, which is safety is 3 deep breaths. Self care can just be like nurture your five senses somehow, however you want to, light a candle, get a cup of tea. And then safe support. Connect with your bestie a little bit so that your brain knows you're not being kicked out of the herd and you're going to be picked off by a predator. You can do that to calm yourself in the moment. And then it's up to you to figure out, where did this wiring come from? How do we get to the root of this? How do we actually dig around a little bit? Maybe, clip a few things here and there, do some pruning. How do we actually get to where this originated and then rewire that brain pattern? And it's not as hard as it sounds. It's actually fairly simple to rewire the brain. So if you want help with this, you can always come to me if you're a woman and you want to do a free 15-minute chat with me. This is what we do in the Unlock Your Blocks focus call. In that 15 minutes, I will help you identify what the roots are of the negative self-talk or the perfectionism or the people pleasing, the imposter syndrome, all of those things. And then we will identify a pathway out so that you can actually create a lifestyle that supports your nervous system staying safe and regulated no matter what comes at you. So I hope that this is helpful today, and let me know what you thought of the episode. I would love to hear from you. And until the next time I see you, take such good care of yourself.